absolutely. Fittingly enough, RuPaul is playing in the background, and he has this great saying that if you can't love yourself, how are you going to love anybody else? And I think the same is true of empowering other people. You need to have faith in yourself and your own abilities. You need to be able to role model what that empowerment and being empowered looks like, especially for students, if it's ever going to be believable.
I absolutely think we should empower ourselves. It's the core to how we learn to give to others.
Absolutely. The more that you are happy and fulfilled and healthy, then the better that you can be for anybody else. So it's an absolute first step to empower self before you can empower others.
I think you need to have a great confidence in you. So if I say about myself, I should have a great confidence in me as a teacher, as a person. And I know when I teach my student, that will show in many ways.
I do believe that it's good to be empowered because you need to know the future. I think empowering, like being empowered is a good thing because you can help other people experience different things.
Yeah, I think so. I think when you're empowered, you have the ability to make your own choices. You have the ability to feel good about yourself.
I think the issue of empowerment is very important for instructors and for teachers who work with students closely, because essentially if we feel that this is going to reflect on our students, for them to have the power to make decisions and choices that are beneficial to their own, we have to be citizens ourselves in kind of understanding these structures and also implementing knowledge in a way that students can find conducive to their own lives and to their own scenario.
Yeah, and yes. I think for me in the position that I have, which is chairing the department, there isn't a way for me to do my job without having some sense of confidence or sense of self. I think for me, empowerment is a conversation about having enough self-confidence to do the job that you have in front of you, and to also think and strategize ahead for what's coming down the road. So as chair of the department, for me, those are both parts of my job. So in a day-to-day situation, I have to just manage certain whatever problems pop up, and I have to be able to confidently move through those situations without too much questioning of myself or my judgment, right? So I think in being able to do that, I have to have a sense of confidence and empowerment to make independent decisions, to be confident in those decisions, and to lead other people to be confident in those decisions too. And I think that's also true of strategizing related to administrative work. So thinking down the road 5 or 10 years for the department, what college enrollment numbers will look like, what kind of programs we'll need in 5 or 10 years, looking at some of those trends is intimidating, especially for someone who doesn't spend a lot of time hanging out with data as such, or quantitative data anyway. To be able to look at what the university will look like in 5 or 10 years and think about what role our department has in that version of the university, and then make some plans and progress now towards meeting those goals. I don't think I could do any of that without a sense of self-empowerment, a sense of self and confidence, and I really like doing that job, so I'm going to keep trying to do it as well as I can with the confidence that I have.
I think it's very important to be empowered, because if you have reliance in yourself to be powered up, you can do things that you don't think that you could do. If you feel empowered, you can go beyond your own expectations and a lot of other people's expectations as well.
I do, and I think it's very important to empower others, because I know from my personal experience, whenever I make others happy, I feel more happy myself. And so helping others be more likely to succeed always makes me feel like I can succeed myself.
I think it's extremely important to be empowered if you're going to have be able to help others. Okay, you have to be able to set an example for others, and therefore you start with yourself first, you know. And I believe that in order to start with myself, I kind of have to live by the golden rule. You know, do unto others as you would do unto yourself. And this way, by setting an example and treating others the way that I wish to be treated. I try to, again, live by the golden rule, and I try to read and kind of model myself after others that have kind of tread the pathway. And being an administrator in the school system, I take that and try to give it not only to the faculty, but as well as the students, you know, building the relationships on how to live and encourage others as well as yourself. And when I have helped another person along the way, it helps me to feel better about myself and about being a strong human being.
It is definitely important to be empowered. Simply because when you're empowered, you're motivated to go that extra mile. Because if you have nothing to look forward to, then why are we here?
I think it's extremely, as a former teacher, I think it's extremely important to empower yourself, because you've got to have confidence in what you're teaching children, and they're going to take from that confidence from you, especially when you build your trust with them. They're going to really be empowered by your empowerment. They're going to see that you're in charge, you know what you're doing, they're going to feel comfortable with you, and they're going to trust what information you're going to give them. So if you're standing up there and you're doing as empowered as you feel with being a teacher and being involved and surrounded by other empowered teachers, you're going to build that empowerment into your students as well.
Because if you don't empower yourself and fill yourself up with energy, then what energy do you have to give to others?
If you are not empowered and you do not have the self-confidence, there's no way you can empower others. It's very important to have self-confidence before you can give confidence to other people.
Absolutely. It's important because you first have to empower yourself before you can empower others. And in the field of education, the best way to learn is to feel empowered, not to feel intimidated by the work. Otherwise, great learning can't prosper in that environment.
Oh yes. We have to be empowered to be able to actualize our dreams. And so if we don't have a sense of confidence and who we are and direction, then those things that we hold dear to us, those ideals and hopes for our own personal life as well as our professional life may or may not happen. So if you feel empowered, then that gives you a direction and it gives you possibilities.
Oh gosh. So I have a handful of exercises that I do for myself. It involves a lot of positive self-talk, so reminding myself of the things that I'm good at, of the things that I have accomplished, of taking time to appreciate little things about myself that that I find positive, that I like about myself, and then just having some daily affirmations, essentially, of, you know, you're good enough, you're awesome, you're whatever it is that I need that day. And then I go to work and I see the things that I accomplish, that I do, and that keeps me going and keeps me feeling empowered.
Well, I think knowledge is a form of empowerment, and so I really try to make an effort to constantly learn new things and learn not just the subject matter, but try to learn more about my students and where they're coming from.
So one way that I empower myself is to remember those who've been special or have somehow empowered me. And one way I do that is with this lovely little sign back here, which was from a high school teacher who noticed that I was having a pretty rough day. And he came over and put that on my desk. And I've always kept it with me as a way of remembering whatever I'm doing, I can have fun.
Oh, well, it starts when I first wake up in the morning. I get up at least an hour before anyone else in the house is going to be up, and I make a cup of tea and I sit down and I read. Usually I read for work, but it's still very enjoyable, relaxing time, just reading and drinking tea. I come home early enough to make dinner. I cook 5 nights a week, and I find that really relaxing and fulfilling, and yeah, both of those things give me a lot of joy. I prioritize sleep. Nothing is going to keep me up later than my bedtime. I do what makes me happy.
There's one thing I believe in. There's a reason why I'm here. I'm here right in my office, right on this campus, right in this town. So I try to not to waste anyone's time, also not to waste my time. So I value every single minute I live in, and I value every single thing I do. Especially, I really do believe I am here because of a reason. I'm a faculty here at Purdue University because of a big reason. So I do my best with what I can and with my knowledge.
What I do, I really don't do a lot of self-care, but I mean, I go to sleep at night, I get a good night's rest, unlike some people that I know. What else? I put studying sometimes before friends.
To make myself feel better, basically. I love to read. So for me, every night, no matter what is going on in my life, I always take a good half hour at least to sit down and read whatever it is that I'm currently reading, because it's a great way to relax myself and to focus on something different than everything that's going on in the world.
I get exposed. I try as much as possible. For me to find a source of empowerment, it means that I have to go out and look for information, look for actual knowledge, look for strategies in teaching, look for strategies in learning as well. More often than not, I find myself looking at students for this kind of information because I learn from my students about their life context, their life scenarios, and how that really pertains to the subject that I'm teaching. And in turn, by looking outside of the classroom, by looking, reading the latest material, listening to the news, kind of opening my eyes to the things that are going on around me and take it from an analytical context, I kind of try my best to bring it all together and work with students on kind of informing a process that is about knowledge and about empowerment, essentially, to kind of go out and do what it is best that we do, whether students, instructors, employees, so on and so forth.
So I try to stay in conversation with people that are smarter than me, who know how to do this job better than I do, who have more experience, and I ask them questions, I talk with them, I get their advice. And the reason that that is empowering is both because it sometimes highlights for me that I already know the answer to some of the questions that I'm asking. So they confirm for me that the decisions I've made or I plan on making are ones that they would also make. I think that feels empowering, but the other thing about it that's empowering is when I'm not going to make the right decision or when they give me advice that I hadn't thought of. I think for me it's a useful space for growth, and as I feel like as long as I'm figuring out how to be better at whatever I'm facing, whether it's work or stuff outside of work, I think as long as I'm growing, that feels empowering. It feels like I'm doing something that's good for myself and good for the people who rely on me to do my job. I make sure that I have a social life that is outside of work. So while I hang out with a lot of people at work and they are my close friends, I make sure that when I'm not at work that there are other ways that I'm being social with people who I respect and trust, and for me that feels like a way I can keep sort of growing with other people and doing the work that feels empowering as a human being, right? To like create connections with people. I also hang out with my dogs, and that is calming most of the time when they're not being crazy. And I also do I get massages every once in a while, and I go to yoga, and I do the stuff that feels relaxing for my brain and my body. And I don't think that can be sort of undersold as an important part of thinking about what it means to feel empowered, which is to take care of yourself and to take care of the people around you who rely on you.
I do things that I normally wouldn't do. Like going to unfamiliar places, it makes me feel really good. Knowing that I can get out of my comfort zone and go explore something new.
I like to talk to people and get their ideas on things and everything like that. And I also like to take hikes and clear my own mind and listen to music and just try and calm myself down so I know what to do next.
At the end of the day, I try to reflect on what have I done to help myself as well as others. And a lot of times, there's areas where I feel I can improve on being a better person, and I like to do that by reading. And also, I like to pamper myself every once in a while, where you get the massage treatment and, the fingernails and pedicures. But I think that's mostly, what I do.
Personally, I love to write, so in my free time I write stories, many stories. And so when I write what I see myself as in the future. I like to look at the future and see I could be that one day. I could get there. And so when I start writing about it and thinking about that, it's like an overflow. And I'm filled with joy and I'm inspired to do what I'm here to do.
It's good to have some downtime, but it's good to have downtime with other teachers who are friends, and you can always work ideas off of each other. You can have a mentor, or you can be a mentor towards someone else to help them become empowered. And they may come up and say, hey, I'm having trouble with this, and you seem to be so good at it. Can you walk alongside me or give me some tips or something and kind of mentor me through to help me get a little bit more empowered in what I'm doing and a little more confidence build into what I'm doing as well?
I'll focus on things that I'm good at and help share what I can do with group activities or different things, or I'll go on walks when I need to take a break.
I think it's similar to kind of just making sure I get enough rest. It's very important for me personally that I have enough rest in order to feel empowered the next day when I'm teaching. And just making sure I know my stuff. I feel like it's really important to know what I'm teaching in order to feel confident and empowered in it.
I believe I can empower myself by knowing that I am capable of achieving the best work that I can, and therefore I should go to other students, in my case, since I'm not a teacher yet, just to keep on learning and receive feedback and to just keep on building on my learning. Don't have the mentality thinking that you already know everything, because there's so much to learn always.
I think it is the support of families and friends. So my church community is really important to me, and having community with them is important. My family as well. I do enjoy going home. When I have made a rule, when I leave work, I don't check emails at night, and I try very little to do schoolwork at night, though I will get up early in the morning, like 5. But I used to not do that, but in the past couple of years, and that has helped me. That gives me opportunity to talk to my sons. My youngest son right now is a senior in high school, so it gives me time to just talk and to have that. It gives me time to wash the dishes, because it's nice to wake up to a clean kitchen. So when I didn't do that, I always felt frustrated and irritated that things weren't orderly. And so that's been a way. It doesn't work all the time, but at least I work towards that, and for the most part, it has worked. It's helped. Say, do not check emails.